Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the HyperConscious podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where we sat down for a live mastermind with one Karen Christensen.
Oh, yeah.
Today, get the energy back. For episode number 448, we are going to talk about why you are afraid of networking.
I need a coffee, man.
We'll get one after this because we live. The studio is 3 minutes from a Dunkin' Donuts. Several Dunkin' Donuts, in fact. And a Starbucks.
Really?
There's a Starbucks in that plaza over there.
Oh, that's right. I prefer Dunks. Better portion.
Yeah, but Starbucks has like a lot of like really like sugary non-coffee drinks that taste like candy. So that's also good.
So that's also good.
Right,
You
let's
think we
do
should
this.
talk about networking?
Yeah, we could. We could talk about Starbucks. People love Starbucks.
People do. So we could debate about Dunkin's versus Starbucks, but that's not what today's about. So today is about, so why are we doing this episode on networking? So first and foremost, I remember we had Mark Metry come and give a speech at Top Notch Live, one of the events that we co-hosted. And I remember asking him to talk about networking because that was one of the 8 topics that we believed was most important for people at a networking event. Learn how to network, right? Makes sense. And he said, that word sucks. I don't want to do that. And ever since then, I don't know if I fully understood what he meant by that, but now I do. And so now I think that networking, that word, you can kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire. And then you can replace it with strategically building relationships.
That's 3 words.
Yeah. So you take one word, make it into 3 words. And so this episode is going to be about how, why, all the things about strategically building relationships.
I don't even use the word strategically.
Okay.
So one of my clients, when we were doing the system of success,
Yeah.
I said, I want you to put down what resonates with you. I could say networking, I could say prospecting, what actually resonates with you? And I said, how about relationship building? Because that's what you're doing at the end of the day. She said, I love that. Cool. Awesome.
Right.
Better association. So whatever. If it's strategic, either way. The name of the episode is Why You're Afraid of Networking. I think this, and this is a breakthrough for me. I wrote it on the board. When you're building a relationship, that's the only result you necessarily care about.
Right.
When you're networking, you're looking for a different result. Your result is to sell something to, usually that, right? If you're networking, you're usually looking to sell something.
Right.
If you're at a networking event, what are you doing? You're usually there to promote something or talk about something or get new clients or get people into a mastermind group or...
I think it can also be to just build a relationship with growth-minded people.
But yeah, I agree.
Right.
But it's called networking for a reason.
Okay.
Because I think most people are looking for
Something.
Versus you're going to get something in a relationship.
Right.
But I think if you go in with the understanding that like I may never work with this person.
Right.
I may never make a dime off this person. I may never I have a great example of this. We were on a show recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't use any specifics, but I was talking to this gentleman after, and I sent him a message and said, hey, you're trying to do something very similar to what I'm doing. I'd love to offer any value, blah, blah, blah. Also, I do weekly coaching as well, if that's something you're interested in. Again, no pressure. I just am pulled to help you because I see a lot of myself in you, and there's not a lot of people trying to do the same thing I am.
Right.
So I feel inspired to help you. And he went into his story a little bit and told me about how he's kind of at like a little bit of a rough patch.
Right.
And I literally said, hey, here's my link. Let's do another free 30-minute call. I've already done one. I want to do another one. Now, what am I doing with him? Well, number one, I'm adding value. Right. But I am building a relationship with this person.
Oh, yeah.
My only goal, the result I'm looking for, is to add value.
Right.
That actually might come back tenfold in the future, but that's not what's on my mind. So I think if you go into an interaction with somebody from trying to understand them, this is the other thing too. When you're at a networking event, you should let the other person talk about themselves.
Right.
So that's when you go on a first date, what happens?
Right.
If you're a person and you've been on a first date and it's been terrible, the other person probably talked about themselves, they talked about their exes, whatever constitutes as a bad first date. I think relationship building in terms of business or whatever is also similar.
Yeah, I would agree as well.
I just rambled there.
No, dude, that's I think it's good to understand what this is and how to approach it. So I was saying this recently to somebody on a coaching call last week. I said, focus on adding value to the relationship and the results will come.
Josie's on a
But the reason why I say strategically building relationships is because you do need to be careful about who you're spending time with.
Yeah.
But we always talk about that, right? So, for example, if you want to be a world-class podcaster, it would make sense for you to, if you noticed that someone gave a speech on podcasting, you're going to want to, okay, if there's 100 people in the room and you only have time to talk to one of them, you should go and have the courage to introduce yourself to the person who spoke on podcasting, right? So if you want to start a podcast, it would make a lot of sense for you to network or build a relationship, rather, to Kevin.
With us.
Right.
Not just me.
Both of us.
Yeah,
exactly.
with
Exactly.
us.
And I think that's why strategic is an important piece.
I am better, though.
Than me. Yeah. About podcasting in certain regards. But I think that's the reframe. Build relationships, which most likely you're already good at.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. So I'm looking at this from the lens of you might not be good at building relationships.
Not proactively. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the reframe is proactively building relationships.
I think when people think of networking events, I don't even think it's that frame. I think it's the fact that I have to go talk about myself and I have to like hold a conversation. I think that's getting harder and harder for people. Genuinely.
Right.
Genuinely, especially with COVID, especially with how many people are texting. Like,
I know.
I genuinely think it's getting harder and harder, and I think there's studies that back this up. I don't have them cited by any stretch of the imagination, but it's getting harder and harder for younger people to have one-on-one in-person conversations because it's rare. It's rare. So I think if you're afraid to go to a relationship building event, is what we'll call it,
right,
there's a couple of reasons. It's probably because you're afraid to go up to a stranger and talk to them.
Right.
Remember Mark Metry said, oh no, this is in Mark Metry's book. He talks about, he went to a networking event and some guy saw that he was like scared, went up and talked to him. He said, everybody's scared. Like, don't worry about it. Like, everybody's afraid when they come to these things.
Right.
And the fact that he understood that somebody else felt the same way he did made it easier for him. But I think it's like, I think about me. That's why I said that.
Right.
I think about when we went to the private island on the Cape. That was a networking event.
Yes, it was.
I was terrified.
Right.
I was terrified. When we went to Brendan Burchard's events, I was terrified. Lori Harder's book signing, I was terrified. So for me, it was more about like, what the hell am I going to do here?
Dude, Lori Harder's book signing was 50 plus, or I think 100 women, and then
it was more than that.
You, me, and
I think it was like 200 women.
200
there was
women,
a lot of people
and then
there.
it was me, you, and like one other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember you being scared at that.
I was terrified.
Yeah, you asked the question in front of everybody.
Well, that was my fear chasing thing. But I don't think you're not afraid of that. I don't think you ever have been. I think most people are uncomfortable, especially maybe somebody who's earlier in their personal development journey or somebody who's very emotionally driven.
Right.
They might be afraid of showing up to something, having to be the center of the attention for any short time.
Right.
Right? I don't know. I think that can be intimidating for people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I remember I went up to Chris Harder and asked if he wanted to be on our show.
And I didn't because I was afraid.
Yeah, that was...
Jeff will do
We've
it.
come so far since then. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Top Notch Live, I remember Bianca was a client of mine, and she wouldn't mind me saying this. She's actually given me permission in advance to share whatever I want. But basically, she was asking me, like, what do I do at Top Notch Live? Like, how do I network? I don't even know where to begin. It's interesting to me because you kind of are most likely meeting people and interacting with people every day if you're human, but you don't call it networking, and it's not necessarily strangers every day. And you've said this before. It's like, okay, you're not uncomfortable around your family. You're not uncomfortable around certain people. Why? Most likely because it's familiar. And so I told her, I basically said, well, why are you going? First, let's understand why you're going. She said, well, I want to learn and I want to meet people that are growth-minded. Okay, fire. Now you have a goal. Now we can be strategic. So now just keep a pulse on who else is there to learn and grow. And when you notice that and you feel pulled to talk to somebody, it's going to be a courageous moment. You feel pulled to talk to Shauna, let's say, which she felt pulled to talk to Shauna, which now Shauna's been on their show. Right? And if she hadn't had the courage in that moment, first of all, the poll comes up, you're like, I really want to talk to that person. And then you either do it or you don't. You either shell up or you step up. And fortunately, she stepped up and we were at dinner and they met. But I do think that this is something that maybe because I have such a strong sales background or whatever, I don't feel like this is something that's ever been challenging to me, but I do think it's uncertainty that's freaking you out. And what you can be certain of is that you being in a room and spending time with new people is going to bring new opportunities, period.
Yeah.
And I think that the strategy part and the polls are going to happen organically as long as you go in with a goal. My aunt used to coach me, and she said, okay, when you go to a networking event, I want you to understand, I want you to say, okay, I'm going to get 10 business cards and just hit that goal. And she said she always set a benchmark that helped her be more proactive. And one thing that I would say too, if you're out there listening right now and you've never been to a networking event or a relationship building event, we'll reframe it, you are Jeffin.
Oh, yeah.
You are. Like, Kevin transformed at those. And so let's maybe share that. So before Brendan, let's do this. I'll ask you two questions. Number one, what was it like with me sitting there in the gym at Crunch trying to convince you to fly across the country to Brendan Burchard's event? And then number two, what would you tell that Kevin now?
I don't remember what it was like. I genuinely don't. I just remember you saying, like, this will be a game changer. And I think you always had the vision. So I was like, well, I don't know. I tend to believe him when it comes to certain things. And the fact that we got free tickets was big.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a sign. I don't know. I don't remember what that part of it was like. I know I was terrified. I know for many reasons. Number one, like, there's a room of 3,000 people. Like, I don't know. I don't know how comfortable I was in terms of podcasting yet, in terms of this being a business. So I think, like, for me, I probably felt very similar to, like, how you might feel if you're watching or listening to this and you're thinking of going to, like, a big relationship building event like that. I was very scared. Like, I was terrified.
Right.
I was terrified. Like, that's when I had all those anxiety attacks, was before the first event.
So let's just real quick, just to give the listeners a frame of, like, how much that's benefited them and us and everybody in our life. Let's just go through real quick. And who are the people we never would have met if it wasn't for networking events? Strategically building relationship events have changed our life. It's the books you read, the people you meet that will change your life the most, period. Who have we met at networking events?
Okay. So Dave Meltzer we met.
Yep.
It wasn't wasn't a relationship building event, but it was a speech, which is it's an event to build relationships.
Yep.
Summer, Spike, Kim,
Yep.
Alessandro,
Yep.
Mia.
Yep.
Who else?
Shauna.
Confident
Woman.
Yep. Joyce.
AK, because we met Anthony Trucks.
Yep.
So Anthony Trucks, and then AK came to our event because of Anthony.
Joyce.
Yep. Joyce.
That was at a Dave Meltzer thing.
That was at a Dave Meltzer thing. Yep.
My goodness.
Let's keep going. Shauna. Brant. Did we meet Brant?
No, we met him.
That was through the interweb.
I'm sure the thing is, there's probably so many I can't even think of because I don't remember.
I know.
I don't remember.
But I think the important piece here is it's almost like you've heard me do the wedding analogy. Okay, everyone goes to a wedding to celebrate people they know falling in love and making a commitment, okay? They're not necessarily there because all those people know and like each other and have similar goals and core values and similar beliefs. They're there for one core value. They want to share love with this couple they love, care about. Imagine that, but going to an event specifically to learn and meet new people.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe. You talk about the lanyards at
I
Brendan Burchard's
remember
event.
when we got back from the last one. I remember laying in bed and thinking, I think it was when we were there. If you're wearing a Brendan Burchard lanyard, it just basically is it's a lanyard that has your name on it and it says, like, whatever the event is. You're friends with everybody.
Right.
Like, I'm talking
If they
to
have a
dudes in the
lanyard.
bathroom.
Right.
I'm talking to, like, everybody, just women getting coffee. Like, it's almost like an okay, you can approach me and talk about whatever you want because I'm here and I'm open.
And I'm open, yeah.
The second you take the lanyard off, it's almost like people stop talking to each other.
Because you're at a hotel.
Yeah.
When we did Your World Within Live a year ago from last week, it blew my mind because we were at a hotel called Margaritaville. And everyone else at that event, I could tell there's two types of people at that hotel. Margaritaville, Hollywood Beach, Florida, there to vacation to vacation, Margaritaville, to escape their normal life. That's fine. That's totally fine. Anyone with a lanyard on at Your World Within Live was there to get better and meet new people. Yeah. And it changes everything. The reason why you're in that building matters more than what building you're in. It's like it's crazy how different the interaction changes the moment that you're there for that reason.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to a party and drinking is the center of attention, that's going to be very different than if you go to a networking event where learning is the center of attention.
Relationship building event.
Yeah, relationship building.
So I would literally say go in with the goal to learn about somebody.
Right.
Because I think about Alessandro, shout out to Alessandro, all the way from Italy. Literally, we met him at the first Brendan Burchard event. He sat in front of us.
Yep.
And we were just just talking to him. I think he said we were jacked or something. I think that's how it started. And we were talking, and we're like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Oh, I'm from Italy. I'm a photographer." And he's like, "Yeah, you can check out my social media." And I was like, "All right, yeah, cool, man." And I remember we got back to the hotel, and I looked him up, and I was like, "Dude, this dude's got 280,000 followers. He's kind of a big deal."
Right.
And he literally came out and took pictures at Top Notch Live.
Yeah.
He literally flew from Italy to see us.
Yeah.
Like that. Mia.
I know.
I work one-on-one with Mia now, right?
Yeah.
None of that was ever planned. I never met her thinking I wasn't even doing coaching. I wasn't even doing podcast coaching then.
I know.
I literally remember saying wow, that young lady is extremely beautiful.
Right.
I want to get out of my comfort zone and sit next to her. And her and I ended up crying and going through this beautiful thing at the end with Brendan Burchard. So if you have to, well, I won't say if you have to, you definitely should look for a result, but I think that result should be an intention.
Yeah.
Try to learn as much about somebody else as possible. Try to learn as much about yourself as possible. Try to get out of your comfort zone. If you've been to a good amount of relationship building events, maybe say I want to try to get a client out of this, whatever.
Right.
Right. But have an intention and focus more on the intention than the discomfort of the uncertainty. At least that gives you something certain.
Right.
This is what I came here to do.
And all changes in life comes from the basically new information. New persons, places, things, or ideas. So how are you supposed to grow into the next level of your life if you're constantly living in a box of all the old persons, places, things, and ideas? And so we met Summer Scalero, and she introduced us to Kim and Spike Spencer, and we had a mastermind for over a year where we spoke every other week to all of them. And those conversations have, without a question, changed our life. I remember Kim was the one who said, you need to raise your prices and have high ticket clients. It's interesting because we went to Brendan Burchard High Performance Academy with T-Mac, and that's where the podcast agency was born.
Yeah.
And I can think back to even me with Emilia on the dock in Otis near the lake, where she's talking about, why don't you start your own business consulting firm? It's that's where ideas are born, is in great conversations with great people. The problem is the conversations you're having might not be growth-oriented. Yeah. And the only way to make sure... Dan and Noel, shout out to them. They're my clients. They're awesome. They're growth-oriented. They hire coaches. They are coaches. They have Fearless and Fortunate. They've had you on. They've had me on. They're at a networking event right now, NLP. They love to meet new people. Go to where growth-minded people go. Growth-minded people don't go to the bar. You're not going to find Kevin or I at the bar. You're not. Almost never. You might see us at a wedding by chance, but you'll definitely see us at the next Brendan Burchard event or whatever. Yeah. And so that's the thing. Whether it's our weekly mastermind or it's a different networking / relationship building event, you gotta. I honestly think that if you've never been to a networking event, and I'm going to call it a networking event because that's what they're called in the industry.
We're going to change that.
Yeah, we should.
I'm going to change that.
If you've never gone outside your comfort zone and did what B did, what Kevin did, you are leaving massive opportunity on the table. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. You are Jeffin. And
the other thing, too, is no matter where you are in your journey, you can test yourself again. So, the first time I went to a relationship building event, my goal was to get out of my comfort zone.
Right.
The last time we went to Brendan Burchard, my goal was to get a client.
I know.
Now, I didn't because I didn't even have a business yet, really. But I was, and again, I don't know that should be, I think it should be learning, honestly. I think it should be learning about people. Yeah. Because when you learn about somebody, it's easier to help them anyway.
Yeah, be a sponge. Just absorb.
Yeah.
But Amy and Tiff, man, your World Within Live, they never met each other.
Yeah.
Our current team would not be
right
what it is if it wasn't for your World Within Live.
Yeah. And you can consistently grow. If you've never been, get out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
The second one, set a different intention. The third one, set a different intention. The fourth one, set a different intention. And you're also going to be able to visualize things differently.
Right.
Right? I remember we went to the first Brendan Burchard event. I felt like, wow, I actually belong in this room. I never felt that way. Like, it was weird. And then you were like, oh my God, this is brutal. I'm never going to be the best speaker in the world. Brendan's so amazing.
Yeah.
And then the one after that was like, wow, I want us to be on that stage.
Right.
Every time you go, you're going to have a different perspective anyway, because you're going to be more evolved. And you'll be able to shape your experience in whatever way you want, but you got to go.
I miss it. I miss it. Us in Florida wouldn't have happened if I didn't meet T-Mac at a Boston book signing event.
Right.
Like, that was a networking event too. Crazy. So that is a top leverage point. Make sure you're doing that. Next episode.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So this is going to be an interesting one, guys. On our next episode, we are literally going to sit down and listen to episode number 1 live. We're literally going to plug in the phone. You'll be able to hear it with us. We're going to listen to it. We'll do a little commentary. We always talk about how bad it is, and I want to go back and I want to show people what 450 reps of anything can do. Again, we were not always the people we are today. We weren't in the studio for the vast majority of what we've done. So I think for you guys, it'll be great to have perspective. For us, it's going to be a blast from the past. I'm sure there'll be some giggles in there, and there might also be some sad tears.
Some sad tears, for sure. Also, if you go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com, join a like-minded growth community where the goal is always to learn and stay open-minded and vulnerable. The HyperConscious Nation. You can click on hashtag HyperConsciousNation. I also believe that the website will have a pop-up soon that says, do you want to join HyperConscious Nation? There's almost 300 members in that group. Join it. It's all hyperconscious people who care deeply about growth. Also,
Alan and I are still, and this is coming to an end very shortly.
Yeah.
Alan and I are both doing free 30-minute calls. Alan is doing it for peak performance business. I am doing it for podcast coaching and developing. It's going away soon because our schedules are really stretching, and as we get more clients, things are getting busier.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to start your show, if you have a business that you're looking to grow, scale, impact more people, Alan and I would love to help you. I believe, I don't know if it's in the show notes, but if not, it is on the website. If you go to the website, there's free call links there, and we will talk to you when you reach out.
On the coaching tab. Also, every Monday,
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, HyperConscious Weekly Mastermind. Come in the room at 5:30. If you do want to build relationships, we don't network around here. We build relationships. So it's a good way for you to get out of your comfort zone in a controlled environment. And if anybody judges you, I will Hadouken them.
Hadouken, which also means boot them right on out of the room.
All right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed. Get your tissues/laughing equipment for the next episode because I don't know what's going to happen. Hope you enjoyed. We'll talk to you on whatever day it is.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.